And we do have some breaking news to report, and it's extremely sad. Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor most famous for his role as Bill Cosby's son, Theodore Huxtable, on the NBC hit sitcom The Cosby Show in the 80s and early 90s, has died. Police say he drowned off the coast of Costa Rica yesterday while vacationing with his family.
I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul. So for me, I stay on, that has worked for me.
Has this been difficult for you?
Yeah. Because when you watch someone who you know and love, go through what he's going through, it's difficult not to, not to feel something, have some kind of emotional response to, what this person is going through.
Remember when I said earlier, I've never seen so many cowards and black men in this business? I would have to put my brother Tyler Perry in that. See, when no one's watching, who are you? To when everyone's watching. And we got a chance to see him when no one was watching.
Malcolm Jamal Warner was not just an actor. He was a man who stood on principle in an industry that punishes anyone who refuses to obey. He was a fighter who risked everything. And now Monique has revealed something that changes the way we see him forever. She says Malcolm did not just walk away from Hollywood. He was battling it from the inside, and he paid the ultimate price for refusing to play their game. This story is not about gossip. This is about power. This is about control. This is about the ugly machine that has taken down some of the most talented black entertainers of our time. Malcolm saw it. Monique saw it. Katt Williams has been screaming it for years. And the more you listen to their voices, the more the pieces start to connect. Malcolm was offered the same paths that so many black actors were pushed down. They wanted him to conform. They wanted him to do whatever it took to stay in the spotlight. And one of the biggest unspoken weapons in this industry has always been humiliation, disguised as comedy, dresses for giggles. Malcolm refused to wear a dress for a laugh. He refused to trade his manhood and his dignity for a role. And that decision was not just a personal choice. It was a direct rejection of an industry that has long used that exact tactic to break black men on screen while rewarding those who comply. And who sits at the top of that very system? Tyler Perry, a man who has built an empire dressing up for the cameras while pushing an image that has made billions. Malcolm's refusal was not just a quiet act of rebellion. It was a shot at the entire structure that Tyler Perry represents. Monique is now saying Malcolm stood by her when she fought back. He was a true brother to her because he knew what it felt like to go up against the giants. Monique's battles with Tyler Perry and Oprah are infamous. She has been blacklisted, mocked, and silenced because she dared to speak the truth. And yet Malcolm understood her. He had been fighting his own quiet war. This is why Katt Williams enters the conversation as well. Because Katt, just like Monique, has been warning everyone for years about what really happens behind the curtain. He has been laughed at. He has been dismissed. But when you start connecting his words with Malcolm's choices and Monique's testimony, a disturbing pattern emerges. Malcolm Jamal Warner was not just protecting his own image. He was making a statement for every black artist who was tired of being used, humiliated, and discarded. And if Monique is telling the truth, his story is not just tragic, it is explosive. Stay with us, because in this video, we will break down exactly how Malcolm's silent resistance, Monique's relentless fight, and Katt Williams' warnings all collide in a way that will force you to question everything you thought you knew about Hollywood. Because Malcolm Jamal Warner may have sacrificed his career, he may have even sacrificed his life, but he left behind a message that cannot be ignored any longer. Malcolm Jamal Warner was raised by his mother, Pamela Warner, after his parents divorced early on. His mother, or grandmother, got him into acting, and he quickly rose to fame as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, earning an Emmy nomination in 1986. He went on to direct, produce, and star in shows like Malcolm and Eddie, and appeared in many TV series and films. In the days before his death, Malcolm was active on his podcast, Not All Hood, where he spoke passionately about black culture, history, and empowerment. He reminded listeners that the hood is often misrepresented, but it is, in fact, the birthplace of much of American culture. He emphasized pride and resilience, shining light on overlooked black history, including the Haitian Revolution and other revolutionary figures. His social media and poetry revealed a man deeply connected to his roots and unafraid to speak truth, inspiring his community while refusing to sell out, refusing to do stuff just for fame.
If you look at anyone in this business who's had longevity, there are times when they've been hot and times where they've not been hot. You have to decide what you're going to do during those times when you're not hot, so you're not making desperate acting choices. And so she hit me with that first season of Cosby.
When you were like 14
I was
years
14.
old. So this was the conversation that I've heard about that, you know,
Yeah.
your mom had with you
Yeah.
to just kind of prepare you for, you know, what's to come, you know, the things that she could see that you couldn't see.
Yeah.
This makes the circumstances of his drowning in Costa Rica even more suspicious. Official reports claim he drowned due to strong currents off the coast, but details are vague and inconsistent. The exact beach was only later named as one in Limon, Costa Rica, and no autopsy report or toxicology results have been made public. If a celebrity like Beyoncé had died in such circumstances, there would be intense scrutiny and demands for answers. But for Malcolm, a beloved figure from the Black community, the silence and lack of transparency are alarming. He had a successful, trouble-free career and lived a grounded life. His death just doesn't add up. He was only 54 years old and recently appeared on a Fox drama called Alert Missing Persons Unit, a strange coincidence given the mystery surrounding his own disappearance and death. Now here is where it gets even stranger. The reports surrounding Malcolm Jamal Warner's passing do not add up. From the moment the news was aired, it was nothing but conflicting stories. Some sources claim he drowned while on vacation in Costa Rica. Others repeat the same vague language with no real details. No one can agree on what actually happened, and that alone is a red flag. Malcolm was not the type of man to be caught up in anything reckless. He was clean cut, he was disciplined, he was about his craft, and he was about his family. After decades in Hollywood, he quietly walked away. He chose a private life. He shielded his wife and his young daughter from the spotlight, never revealing their names or showing their faces publicly. He knew what the industry was, and he wanted no part of it for the people he loved.
There are obviously the hugest parts of my life, the best parts of my life, the best decisions I've ever made. But I also, you know, I like to keep them and their identity private. I want people to know that, like, it is possible to be happy and to have love and love really be enriching.
But here is the reality. This industry does not just let you leave. People want to write this off as a freak accident, but we need to look at the bigger picture. How many legends have we lost too soon? How many of them were living quietly, away from the spotlight, only for the news to suddenly break? You are not supposed to ask questions. You are supposed to accept the headlines and move on. Not this time. This is Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable, a man who represented integrity in a business built on exploitation. And now we are supposed to believe he simply drowned on vacation with no clear answers, no witnesses, and nothing but anonymous sources. Hollywood has a way of swallowing its own and spitting out anyone who refuses to play the game. Monique has been saying it for years. Katt Williams has been saying it too. And when you step back and connect the dots, the pattern is undeniable. This is why Malcolm mattered. He was one of the few who truly got out. He turned his back on the circus. He kept his family safe. He refused to let his daughter be dragged into the same machine that had chewed up so many other child stars. He wanted a simple life, but the industry does not forgive those who walk away. It erases them, it discredits them, and when something happens to them, the narrative is always neat, polished, and designed to stop people from asking questions. He did not even want the money. He even said in an interview that he's very picky about the roles he chooses because he doesn't want to make a joke out of himself.
Point is, you know, I've been fortunate enough to I've always had the financial wherewithal to be meticulous about the kind of work that I do. So I have a body of work that I will never have to be embarrassed by. Now, there may be some work I might be embarrassed because I might have been whack, but there's nothing in my body of work that I'll ever have to be embarrassed in that I misrepresented my people or I have continue to perpetuate stereotypes of our people. I've been very fortunate to be able to, pick and choose. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I'm going out for and didn't get. You're right.
Yeah.
But I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul. So for me, you know, I stay on, that has worked for me. So I stay on my track and, like everybody else, I'm developing projects, but, you know, I trust in what I'm doing. I trust in how the universe has got me.
We are not accepting that. Malcolm Jamal Warner was more than a headline. He was a man who fought quietly against the system by choosing to live with dignity and privacy. And that is exactly why this story does not sit right. In a moment, we are going to break down why Monique is calling him a true brother and how her own battles against Tyler Perry and Oprah connect to what happened to Malcolm. Because when you see those connections, it becomes painfully clear that Malcolm was not just an actor. He was a quiet warrior who refused to bend, and Hollywood has never known what to do with men like him. For years, there have been whispers in Hollywood about the unspoken rules that no one dares to challenge. One of the most disturbing is the humiliating ritual of putting powerful black men in dresses. It is a tactic that strips them of their image, reduces them to a joke, and sends a clear message to anyone watching. This is how control works, and a lot of people have spoken about it.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me.
We have seen it happen over and over again. From comedians to serious actors, it is the same pattern. They laugh it off in interviews, they say it is all in good fun, but deep down, everyone knows what it really means. And when someone refuses to go along, the industry does not just walk away from them, they make them pay.
I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer, I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in, the writer comes in, I think he's the writer, he's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail, so he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on, and what, a prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that, I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're a writer. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave, listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So then, wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why are they putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress, I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine, think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene, hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast? You know, it's like, so you gotta take a stand.
Malcolm Jamal Warner was one of the few who refused. He was told, directly and indirectly, that if he wanted to keep his career alive, he had to play by their rules. And one of those rules was simple: put on the dress, play the role, do what you were told. But Malcolm was not built for that. He had too much pride, too much integrity, and too much understanding of what the industry was really doing. So he stood firm and said no. At first, the response was subtle: quiet warnings, whispered threats. People around him told him that actors who refused these demands end up blackballed. They reminded him of the countless careers that disappeared without explanation. They tried to scare him into submission, but Malcolm never flinched. He chose dignity over humiliation. And that is when things escalated, because in Hollywood, refusal is not just disobedience, it is defiance. And defiance is something they cannot tolerate. They needed to make an example of him. They could not allow one of the most recognizable black actors of a generation to stand up and walk away without consequences. This is where Tyler Perry's shadow looms large. Tyler Perry has built an empire on playing characters like Medea. He has normalized the very thing that actors like Malcolm resisted. That is why so many believe Perry's influence was a factor. His entire brand man thrives on a system that rewards those who comply and destroys those who do not. It is not far-fetched to believe that Malcolm, a man who represented strength and pride, would have been pressured by those same forces. And when pressure failed, the blackmail began. They made it clear that if Malcolm did not bend, they would break him. Hollywood has always worked this way. First, they offer, then they threaten, and when that does not work, they erase. Malcolm was pushed out of the spotlight, labeled as difficult, and left to navigate an industry that quietly turned its back on him. But even that was not enough, because sometimes, when you fight too hard, when you refuse to give in no matter the cost, they decide to go further. They make an example so big that it scares everyone else into silence. We've seen this pattern before. Remember the young man who drowned at the Obama estate? The story was swept under the rug. No answers ever came. Now we face the same silence with Malcolm. It doesn't sit right. It just doesn't. Hollywood is a brutal machine. They don't let people walk away easily. Malcolm's career was long and respected, but he had already stepped away from the spotlight. Yet the industry wouldn't just let him disappear quietly. That's how this world works. You don't just retire with millions in the bank and live peacefully, not without consequences. People like Malcolm get owned, not just by contracts and cameras, but by a system that demands control, compliance, and sometimes a price paid in ways we never see. So yeah, the official story says it was a tragic accident, but for those paying attention, there's a lot more questions than answers, and I'm here to say it loud and clear. Something about this does not feel right, and that is exactly why Monique has been speaking out, because she lived through the same machine. Monique has been battling Tyler Perry and Oprah for years. She was blackballed after she refused to play the obedient role they demanded from her. She was mocked, dismissed, and silenced because she dared to call them out. And when she speaks about Malcolm, it is not just out of grief. It is because she recognizes his fight.
I never worked with Tyler Perry.
Okay.
I never worked with Tyler Perry. The way that relationship came about was, firstly, Daniel was making the call because he was mad because he thought Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey was trying to steal his movie from him. So those were the first phone calls I was getting, baby, and he was reading them for life, okay? Calling them all the things, right? So then Tyler Perry and I had a conversation at the Hoodie Awards. At the time it was called the Hoodie Awards, when they were trying to get me to go do all of this press internationally.
And for those that don't know, who put on that Hoodie Award?
Steve Harvey put on the Hoodie Awards in Vegas, right? So it just makes me smile the way this whole scene went down. So I'm beckoned to go into Tyler Perry's dressing room, right? I'm beckoned. So I go into Tyler Perry's dressing room, and there are about maybe 25 people on Tyler Perry's team. And he does this.
Like that. Okay.
And everyone leaves. Well, I have my security with me. And I looked at my security and like, you don't work for Tyler Perry. So my security stayed in the room. So Tyler Perry says to me, listen, you may really want to consider promoting this film, because if you get nominated for an Oscar award, your next film is $3 to $5 million. And if you win it, your next film is $6 to $8 million. I said, Tyler, who you talking to? I'm a black woman. Where do they pay those type of salaries, brother? I said, what I cannot do, Tyler, is work for free. I've done what I was supposed to do. I cannot go overseas and do this for free, Tyler. So then he goes on about his spiel, you know. I said, well, listen, you can write me the check for me to go overseas. I don't care where the money comes from, but I'm not gonna do it for free. He says, well, I don't believe in giving money away for free. I said, I don't believe in working for free, so we're on the same page.
Malcolm was a true brother to her because they were both warriors in the same war. He refused to wear the dress. She refused to bow to Tyler Perry and Oprah's power. And in both cases, the industry retaliated.
Did you not just say it was wrong, Tyler? To say she was difficult for not doing something that she was not contractually obligated to do? Did you not say that you would feel that that was wrong? Or am I missing something?
Yeah.
So the question I would say is,
is there a number? You know, just taking that back to them was just a huge problem, okay? And I'm going to say a couple of things a minute, because I just watched your podcast, and it really broke my heart, because number one, I feel you. I feel the sadness that's from you in all of this. And I don't want you to feel that. especially for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, I'm not anyone that wants to hurt or offend anybody, especially you. I think you are brilliantly talented. I think you should have a lot more happening since you won that award. I thought for sure that if you had campaigned and won it and played by their rules, what would happen is in the next deal, you would have gotten more money, millions of dollars, and your career in the film would have been much different. I believe that much in your talent. So in saying all of that, I just say it's just heartbreaking because I don't ever want you to think that I'm out trying to blackball or say anything. So please give me what I say. I'm not trying to hurt you. I would never try to hurt you.
If Monique asked Lionsgate for a favor and they told her no, and she's asking for a favor that is not contractual, not something that they're contractually obligated to do, and they told her no, but then she went and told the world how difficult that they were, do you think that that would be fair or unfair?
No, that's not fair. It's not fair.
So the question I would ask of you, good sir, because I appreciate you being honest enough to answer that with a relative quickness. I really do. So the question that I would ask you is this. If we should do unto others as we would have them do unto ourselves, the question I would ask is, how do you sit back, or how would you feel if someone said about you that you were difficult to work with because you didn't want to perform for them a function that you were not contractually able or obligated to do? How would you feel about that?
Well, as I said, that's not fair. If I bring a movie for Monique over there, I'm going to have to say it. I'm going to have to defend it. I'm going to have to fight them.
Well, it's easy. It's easy because all you would be doing is telling the truth. You are 6'6" black man.
This is not just a story about Malcolm Jamal Warner. This is a story about the system. It is about how Hollywood breaks those who do not obey. It is about how they turn integrity into a weapon and use it against the very people who should be celebrated for it. And when you start connecting the dots between Malcolm, Monique, and even Katt Williams, who has been calling out this wicked machine for years, you begin to see the bigger truth. Malcolm did not just resist. He exposed their desperation. His refusal was proof that the machine only works if you participate. And when he walked away, when he chose his family and his privacy over their circus, he became a living reminder that you can say no. That kind of defiance terrifies them. And that is why Monique is right. Malcolm was a true brother. He stood his ground. He lived with dignity. And in the end, he showed the world exactly what happens to those who will not play Hollywood's game. Monique's story is the perfect mirror to Malcolm's. She has been fighting this same battle for years, standing up to the very forces that tried to control and silence Malcolm. After winning an Oscar, Monique was supposed to be at the peak of her career, but instead of being celebrated, she was blacklisted. She refused to play the role Hollywood assigned her, the obedient, quiet star who never complains. She dared to speak up about unfair pay, creative control, and the toxic power dynamics behind the scenes. And the biggest names behind that system, Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. Monique has never been shy about calling them out. She has said publicly how they work together to keep the industry's status quo intact, how they reward compliance and punish dissent. Like Malcolm, Monique was told to fall in line. She was pressured to stay quiet and toe the line, just like Malcolm was pressured to wear the dress. But Monique refused to be silenced. She chose integrity over fame, and because of that, her career stalled. Projects dried up, doors closed. The industry sent a clear message: you either join the club or you are out. You either play the game or you disappear.
See, when I see you do a clip and you go to T.D. Jakes' church, and I watch you write a check for $1 million in front of the congregation, and you give it to this man, was that for the congregation to give more money, or was that really genuine? See, when no one's watching, who are you? To when everyone's watching. And we got a chance to see him when no one was watching.
But the parallels between Malcolm and Monique run deeper than that. Both of them tried to protect what mattered most: their dignity, their families, their truth. Malcolm shielded his wife and daughter from the spotlight, refusing to let the industry drag them into its chaos. Monique has fought tirelessly, not just for herself, but for other black artists who have been marginalized and silenced. And just like Malcolm's refusal to wear the dress was a rejection of Hollywood's humiliations, Monique's refusal to bow to Perry and Oprah's influence was a stand against the very system that seeks to control black talent and shape narratives to fit their agenda. Katt Williams has also been calling out this system for years, exposing the dark underbelly of Hollywood's power games. Together, their stories form a pattern, one that reveals how the industry uses fear, control, and blackballing to maintain its grip. Malcolm's story, Monique's battle, and Katt's warnings are not isolated incidents. They are chapters in the same ongoing struggle against a system that demands submission at any cost. Understanding this connection is crucial. It shows us why Malcolm's defiance was so threatening. It explains why Monique's fight has been so fiercely opposed. It exposes a Hollywood machine that will go to any lengths to silence those who refuse to play by their rules. In standing up, Malcolm and Monique have become symbols of resistance. They remind us that dignity and truth are worth fighting for, even when the cost is high, and that fight is far from over. And then there's Katt Williams. Now, if you think Malcolm's story is unique, Katt's experience shows just how widespread this issue really is. Katt Williams has been in the industry for years, and he has never been afraid to speak his mind about how Hollywood really works. But what many don't know is that Katt himself was once told to wear a dress for a role. Just like Malcolm, Katt said no. He refused to be part of that humiliating narrative, and because of that, he quickly found himself out of favor. Doors closed, roles dried up, and suddenly he was the difficult one. People stopped liking him in the industry, and he knows exactly what Malcolm must have gone through. Katt has been very vocal about the toxic control Hollywood exerts over black artists, especially men who refuse to conform to the stereotypes the industry wants to sell. He has called out how black masculinity is often mocked, diminished, and forced into caricatures, with dress wearing being one of the cruelest tactics to undermine a man's image and power. In many ways, Katt's fight mirrors Monique's. Both have been punished for their refusal to stay silent, for their willingness to expose the truth about how Hollywood manipulates and exploits talent. They have been blackballed, marginalized, and dismissed because they dared to resist the system. Monique's battle with Tyler Perry and Oprah, Malcolm's defiance in refusing to wear the dress, and Katt's outspoken criticism all form a pattern. It reveals an industry that not only demands control, but punishes those who stand up for their dignity. Where Malcolm quietly shielded his family and walked away from the spotlight, Monique and Katt have taken their resistance into the public eye, using their voices to demand change. Their stories remind us that the fight against Hollywood's toxic power dynamics is ongoing and deeply personal.
At the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we have Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next. Okay. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us. Yeah. But now it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times. Right. I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little more.
And Ty tried to defend that as BS as well.
There is a certain part of our society, especially black people in the culture, that they look down on certain things within the culture. For me, I love the movies that I've done because they are the people that I grew up with, that I represent. So when someone says you're hearkening back to a point of our life that we don't want to talk about it, we don't want the world to see, you're dismissing the stories of millions and millions of black people. And that's why I think it's been so successful, because it resonates with a lot of us who know these women and these experiences, and Uncle Joe and so on and so forth.
We all know there's the darker underbelly of Hollywood's power plays, especially in Tyler Perry's realm, where blackballing, coercion, and toxic work environments are less rumor and more reality. It's a jungle out here, and the cost of standing your ground can be career-ending. But some brave souls have refused to stay silent, even when the stakes are sky high. Blackballing isn't just a scary word thrown around in whispers. It's a deliberate, chilling tactic used to silence actors who refuse to toe the line. You say no to the power player's inappropriate demands or turn down a role that compromises your dignity, and suddenly you're blacklisted. No callbacks, no new projects, and your name gets scrubbed from industry conversations. Doors close quietly but firmly. This is what happens behind the scenes to many actors who refuse to sell their soul just to stay afloat. Malcolm Jamal Warner, he's an example of rare financial independence and personal integrity because he didn't have to accept roles that perpetuated stereotypes or involved compromising situations. He stayed true to his values. That kind of backbone is almost revolutionary in an industry built on compliance and image control. But the pressure to comply, it's intense and often masked in the guise of creative direction. Take Brandon Jay's story. He auditions to play a smart, bullied high schooler, expecting to bring depth and authenticity to the role. Then on set, Tyler Perry arrives and flips the entire script upside down. Suddenly, Brandon's character is gay, with a crush on his bully. A last-minute script rewrite, no consultation, no choice. And behind it all, an unspoken threat. Take the role as it is, or risk being fired. Brandon was forced into a corner, coerced to perform a role that made him deeply uncomfortable, just so the production could move forward on Tyler's terms. This is a prime example of the kind of control Tyler Perry wields over his sets, rewriting scripts on the fly, bending actors to his will, no room for pushback. And then there's Katt Williams, who doesn't mince words. He says Tyler Perry's on-screen persona relies heavily on playing women because, in his view, he can't play a man to save his life. That comment isn't just a jab at Tyler's acting. It's a colorful insight into how Tyler controls the narrative, pushing actors into roles and personas that serve his vision, sometimes at the expense of their own identity or comfort. Katt's story paints a vivid picture of a controlling, egotistical atmosphere behind the scenes where power is wielded without mercy. And he's been super vocal about Perry's demands to get people into dresses as well.
Let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything. So, you know, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others.
Speaking out against such powerful figures comes with a heavy price. Derek Dixon and Christian Keys are prime examples.
I've been speaking to my brother about making a declaration of my experience. What I experienced with certain powers that be that were moving inappropriately. And I really, like, it's in my bone marrow to discuss that, because thankfully God built me the way that he built me, but I'm not sure, based on this person's claims and brags, that he's literally got, at the same time this person was harassing me for years. He was claiming, that he had multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. And clearly that's why it felt to him that it was okay to say these things. And I want to have these discussions. I want to be transparent with y'all about that. I've done my best to forgive this person, but it happens. It happens. It's not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes. And it'll be men tempting men. And that's why a lot of my posts over the last few years have been about taking the scenic route, taking the long way around, because if that means that you can carry your integrity with you, then, and it's 11/11, Thank you, Heavenly Father, for another opportunity to connect with you. Please forgive my sins, my shortcomings, my bad decisions, and my mistakes. Please continue to guide and protect us as only you can. Everybody that's watching, it's not a presentation. If I see 11:11, try to have another conversation with God. So thank you, Heavenly Father. I appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. That's interesting. But there are people that will and have and will continue to, unfortunately, offer these things. And some of them are your heroes. Some of them are people who you're like, oh yeah, such and such is amazing, and he does this and he does that. Yeah, but he also does this and that. At some point soon, it's gonna have to come out. I've kept one of these on me since 05. Whether it's a keychain recorder or a pen, because most predators would check your phone. And once the harassment started, I was like, well, I gotta protect me, because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work. So I started recording. So I have them offering me money to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with them or for them. I have recordings of them confessing that, the other guys that they have on the payroll, all of the above.
Both men publicly accused Tyler Perry of inappropriate advances and retaliation, with Derek even filing a $260 million lawsuit. Their stories reveal the brutal retaliation actors face when they refuse to stay silent, blackballing, career sabotage, and the erasure of their work. It takes serious courage to stand up in this environment, knowing you're risking everything you've worked for to expose abuse and coercion. Yet, these men chose integrity over safety, shining a harsh light on the toxic dynamics festering in the industry. This toxic cocktail of coercion, control, and retaliation creates a high-stakes battlefield where actors must constantly navigate treacherous waters. For someone like Malcolm Jamal Warner, who had financial security and a strong support system, the refusal to accept roles that compromised his soul was a form of resistance. But for many others, the choice isn't so clear-cut. They face the terrifying dilemma of survival versus integrity every day, risking their careers and reputations to say no. Hollywood's shiny surface often hides this ugly reality, where powerful men manipulate, intimidate, and silence those beneath them. But it's time we stop pretending the glitz covers the grime. The stories of Malcolm, Brandon, Derek, Christian, Monique, and Katt expose a pattern of control and abuse that's been ignored for too long. And as more voices rise, the industry's toxic power dynamics are finally being challenged. It's a brutal game, but these actors' courage reminds us that change begins when we refuse to be complicit, no matter the personal cost. So what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.